The Middle East was shaken to its core when Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps released a bombshell statement announcing a dramatic new phase of military operations against American positions throughout the Gulf. The announcement described a sweeping, coordinated assault involving next-generation missile systems and advanced drone technology directed at major U.S. military installations in the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait. Iranian commanders declared that the operation had dealt severe blows to critical military infrastructure, radar arrays, aircraft maintenance facilities, fuel storage systems, and operational runways, all listed among the casualties. The statement instantly captured worldwide attention because the facilities named Dhafra Air Base in the UAE and Ali Al Salem Air Base in Kuwait rank among the most strategically vital American military outposts in the entire region. These installations function as nerve centers for surveillance missions, reconnaissance operations, and forward deployments stretching across the Middle East. If the IRGC's claims hold any truth, this could represent one of the most consequential escalations the region has witnessed in years. We'll break down exactly how these strikes reportedly unfolded, what Iran claims was destroyed, and why these specific bases were chosen. But first, hit subscribe so you don't miss a single update as this story develops. According to official statements carried by Iranian state media, the operation was executed as part of a broader, carefully orchestrated campaign blending missile barrages with drone swarms. Iranian commanders characterized the strikes as precise and methodical, insisting their forces singled out installations directly tied to American intelligence gathering and operational activities across the Gulf. They framed the assault not as a reactive strike, but as a deliberate, calculated move within a larger strategic campaign. The first major target identified in the IRGC statement was Al Dhafra Air Base, situated near Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. This installation has long functioned as one of the most important operational hubs for us and allied air power in the region. It houses advanced combat aircraft, cutting-edge surveillance platforms, and drone operations that extend American military reach deep into the Middle East. Iranian officials claimed that precision-guided missiles and coordinated drone strikes hit key sections of the base with devastating effect. Among the most significant targets reportedly destroyed was an advanced early warning radar system. These radar installations sit at the heart of any modern air defense network. They scan vast stretches of airspace for incoming threats, feed commanders real-time data, and allow defensive systems to respond before projectiles reach their targets. By claiming to have eliminated this radar capability, Iranian officials argued they had punched a hole in one of the most important layers of the American surveillance architecture in the Gulf. The statement also alleged that hangars housing MQ-9 Reaper drone aircraft were struck and damaged during the operation. The MQ-9 is among the most capable remotely piloted platforms in the American arsenal, able to loiter over target areas for extended hours, gather detailed intelligence, and execute precision strikes when ordered. Destroying or disabling the infrastructure that houses and maintains these aircraft would, if confirmed, represent a meaningful blow to American surveillance capacity in the region. Iranian officials went further, claiming that facilities associated with high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft were also hit. Specifically, they referenced installations connected to the U-2 spy plane, one of the most storied intelligence-gathering aircraft in the history of modern warfare. Flying at altitudes that once placed it far beyond the reach of most air defense systems, the U-2 is capable of collecting imagery and signals intelligence across enormous swaths of territory. Any confirmed damage to U-2 support infrastructure would carry significant implications for long-range surveillance operations tied to the base. Al Dhafra was not the only installation in the crosshairs. The IRGC statement also described a heavy missile assault against Ali Al Salem Air Base in northern Kuwait, a critical logistical and operational hub that supports American troop movements, aircraft operations, and strategic deployments across the region. According to Iranian officials, a combination of cruise missiles and ballistic missiles was used in the attack, with multiple key components of the base's infrastructure listed as targets. Radar systems at the base were among the primary targets identified. Like those at Al Dhafra, these installations provide commanders with the situational awareness needed to monitor airspace, detect threats, and coordinate responses. The IRGC claimed these systems sustained direct hits during the barrage. Fuel storage facilities were also listed among the targets struck. Aviation fuel depots are the logistical lifeline of any operational airbase. Without them, aircraft simply cannot fly. Damage to these facilities, if real, would compound the operational disruption caused by strikes on other infrastructure. Perhaps most striking were the claims regarding runway damage. 2 runways at Ali Al Salem were reportedly struck during the operation. Runways are the most fundamental physical requirement of any airbase. Without them, aircraft cannot take off or land. Even partial damage forces commanders to halt or significantly curtail flight operations until repairs can be completed, and repairs under threat of further attack present their own set of complications. Iranian officials described the runway strikes as a core element of their strategy, a direct attempt to ground American air power at one of the Gulf's most active bases. The broader context surrounding these reported strikes cannot be separated from the rapidly escalating confrontation between Iran and the United States and its regional allies. Over recent days, the situation across the Middle East has deteriorated sharply. Missile exchanges, drone operations, and military maneuvers have created an atmosphere of intense volatility stretching from the Gulf to the Levant. In this environment, high-value military installations have become focal points of the confrontation, not just as physical targets, but as symbols of the competing strategic ambitions driving the conflict. Iranian officials were careful to emphasize that the strikes relied on newly developed missile systems and drone platforms. This framing was deliberate. Advances in precision, strike technology, and long-range drone capabilities have fundamentally altered the calculus of modern warfare in the region. Where earlier generations of Iranian military hardware were limited in accuracy and range, the systems now entering service represent a genuine leap in capability. Coordinating missiles and drones in simultaneous, multi-target strikes multiplies the pressure on defenders, forces them to spread limited interceptor resources across multiple threats, and increases the probability that at least a portion of the incoming fire reaches its objectives. The strategic messaging embedded in the IRGC statement extended well beyond the military dimension. Iranian commanders were sending a signal that American bases across the Gulf, long considered relatively secure due to their geographic position and defensive systems, are now within reliable striking distance of Iranian forces. That message, regardless of how much physical damage was actually inflicted, carries weight. It shapes how military planners on all sides calculate risk, how governments in the region assess their security relationships with Washington, and how the confrontation is likely to evolve in the weeks ahead. Reaction to the announcement spread rapidly across governments, military establishments, and intelligence agencies. Analysts immediately began working to verify the claims through satellite imagery, radar intercept data, and open-source intelligence channels. Confirming or refuting the extent of damage at both bases requires time and access, neither of which is immediately available in the hours following an announcement of this kind. In the interim, the IRGC statement itself has become a geopolitical event, irrespective of the physical reality on the ground. The Gulf region hosts an extraordinarily dense network of American and allied military installations. These bases underpin the entire architecture of U.S. military presence in the Middle East, enabling surveillance over adversary territory, providing platforms for rapid force projection, and serving as the logistical backbone for operations stretching from the Red Sea to the Afghan border. When facilities of this importance become targets of large-scale strike operations, the consequences extend far beyond runway craters and damaged hangars. They force a fundamental reassessment of base vulnerability, defensive posture, and the sustainability of forward-deployed forces under persistent missile threat. The strikes described by the IRGC, against radar systems, drone infrastructure, reconnaissance aircraft facilities, fuel depots, and runways at two of America's most important regional bases represent exactly the kind of targeting that military planners have long identified as the most disruptive to operational effectiveness. Whether the claimed damage matches the reality on the ground remains an open question. But the targeting logic itself is sound, and the strategic intent behind the announcement is unmistakable. The full picture of what occurred at Al Dhafra and Ali Al Salem is still coming into focus. Military forces across the region remain at elevated readiness. Governments are weighing responses. Intelligence agencies are racing to assess the available evidence. And a watching world is left to consider what these reported strikes mean for the trajectory of a confrontation that shows no signs of cooling. Whether this moment proves to be a turning point or simply the latest chapter in an accelerating spiral, the stakes involved, measured in radar systems, runways, fuel depots, and the broader regional security order they represent, could hardly be higher.